Hello, everybody. You're listening to AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. That's me. Thank you for joining me today. Give me just a small piece of your time. You know that I appreciate you. We've got a lot to talk about today because I feel like the Titans are making a mistake with Marcus Mariota, and Tim Tebow is coming back. Tim Tebow returneth again, but not in a way that you might think. And of course, another edition of Why Your Team Stinks. Okay, yesterday we talked about Missouri. Pissed off every Missouri fan I know, which is not anybody really. I don't know any Missouri fans, but if you're around, why Missouri won't win the SEC, I don't know. Find a mirror. Everybody else, why your team stinks. There's a new team on the docket today. But before we jump into any and all of those things, I'd like to talk about where you can find us and where we can find you. I highly recommend YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, the social media. Search Hot News Talk Radio in the search bar. We're the first thing that comes up. If you check us out on our website, hotnewstalkradio.com, not only do you get the links to all of our social media pages, including YouTube, where all of our footage is archived, but you can also stream us live, all of our programming 24/7, 365. You can also stream us on Facebook. Check that. We're the only radio station that I know that's got a Facebook plugin that you can stream us on. Also, make sure to check out the TuneIn Radio app. Again, that's the TuneIn Radio app, free on your favorite mobile device in your favorite app store. Simply search Hot News Talk Radio, give us a favorite, and press play. You'll have Hot News Talk Radio everywhere you go. Tim Tebow, boys and girls, Tim Tebow's back. You must have heard it by now, but if you haven't, Tim Tebow is coming back. And before you shout, whoa, not on my team, wait. Tim Tebow isn't coming back to the gridiron. No. Timmy is bringing his skills to the baseball diamond. Now, this raises a few very, very interesting questions that you may have thought to yourself. Tim Tebow, when was the last time he played baseball? I have that answer for you. Tim Tebow last played baseball at Nice High School, where he had a .494 batting average, which, mercy, I mean, that's a hot batting average, but it was high school. Now, for those of you doing the math here, that means that Tim Tebow hasn't played baseball at a competitive level in about 11 years. When was the last time you tried something that you haven't done in about 11 years? 11 years ago, we didn't even have Facebook. 11 years ago. What was the last time you tried something you haven't done in 11 years? Tim Tebow, for another one of our issues, Tim Tebow is 29 years old, which is a little bit old to be trying to crack it into the major leagues. You don't just join Major League Baseball. Okay, it's not like the NFL. You want to join an NFL team, there are no minor leagues. You just have to be picked up by somebody on their practice squad. This isn't that. You got to work your way through the minors, man. And that, best case scenario for Tim Tebow right now, is even if they hurry guys up through the minor leagues, that could be anywhere from 2 to 3 years. Tim Tebow's going to be 30-something by the time we really see Tim Tebow in the major leagues. Everything goes right for Tim Tebow. This is a problem. This is a huge problem. However, I understand that there are people who root against Tim Tebow. I'm not sure why. Tim Tebow seems like a really, really nice guy. Like, he seems like a legitimately stand-up dude. And I understand that a lot of people got tired of his religion and how often they had to see it. But he's a devout Christian. He did what devout Christians do. If you know any devout Christians at your job, they don't keep their religions to themselves, nor should they. They live in America. They're allowed to do all that. Okay, Tim Tebow wants to take a knee and pray after every touchdown. More power to him. But people got annoyed with that. And because of Tim Tebow and the sort of circus that ended up surrounding him, Tebow mania, teams kind of got afraid of Tim Tebow. Got afraid of touching him, got afraid of having him on the roster, which to me seemed a little ridiculous that there was even a circus around Tim Tebow, but there were people that would follow Tim Tebow off a cliff. The old question that your parents ask you, well, if Tim Tebow asked you to jump off a bridge, would you do it? Some people might have. The way that they go on and on and on about Tim Tebow, some people might have actually done it. But Tim Tebow is a guy that has a huge following that, to me, mirrors that of LeBron James. And LeBron James, arguably been, for the last decade, the best player in basketball. Tim Tebow has not been the best player in football, and yet Tim Tebow has a following that is so large that it's actually off-putting to potential teams. However, Tim Tebow got multiple opportunities in the NFL, just couldn't make it at the NFL level. The delivery was slow. What Tim Tebow was able to do in college, you can't replicate in the NFL with his particular skill set. You just couldn't do it. You have to be able to read defenses much quicker. You have to be able to audible. You have to be able to go through information at a very, very high rate. Tim Tebow was not able to do all of those things. And then when you add to the fact that Tim Tebow's delivery and windup when throwing the ball was ridiculously slow, it didn't aid in what he was trying to do. But Tim Tebow is a competitor, right? So he's not going to be happy with his current job. His current job is college football analyst for ESPN. Now, I think Tim Tebow's really good as a college football analyst. I enjoy listening to him. I think he's smart. I think he's got great opinions. I think he's very articulate, which you can't find for not every athlete is very articulate. I don't know if you've spent any time trying to listen to Randy Moss talk about football on TV. It's not good. And not everybody that played football is good at talking about football. There are people that you know that are very, very smart, and you put them in front of a crowd of 100 people, and they don't know what to say. Just talking in front of a microphone is not exactly easy work. And Tim Tebow does make it look easy. He's kind of a natural at it. However, you cover sports day in and day out, you can't help but get the itch to compete again. And Tim Tebow is nothing if not a competitor, a wildly passionate competitor. So passionate a competitor, in fact, he is willing to go to a completely different sport than the one that he started out playing. And there are comparisons to be made with Tim Tebow and other players who have gone on to play baseball before. Michael Jordan, for instance, the greatest basketball player that ever lived, arguably, went to play baseball, did not turn out so well for Michael Jordan. And you could argue that Michael Jordan is one of the greatest athletes that ever walked this earth. However, if the last time you did something was 11 years ago, it's very difficult to jump back in the rhythm of it. But people who have seen Tim Tebow hit baseballs have been surprised at his athletic ability with that. Like how good Tim Tebow looks hitting a baseball, people have been shocked. To the point where the Tim Tebow returneth catchphrase, I feel like I invented that. I don't know if anybody else is even using it, but Tim Tebow return stories happen frequently enough that at some point it just becomes part of the news cycle. Every fall you start to hear rumors about a Tim Tebow return. I just didn't expect it to be baseball this time. Did not see that one coming at all. Tim Tebow is a guy that's been working on his swing. He's going to have an event where a bunch of Major League Baseball teams can come and watch him perform and see what he can do to see if anybody's willing to give him a shot. It's an event that apparently Tim Tebow has been planning for over a year now, which makes sense, right? Like you don't just roll up out of bed one day and go, you know what? I want to play Major League Baseball. I think that's what I want to do with my life after not having played baseball since you were in high school. That wouldn't work for any of us. I played basketball in high school. Wouldn't wake up out of bed today and go, you know what? I'm going to try and chase the National Basketball Association dream. Somebody direct me to the Tulsa 66ers. I think I'm going to try and take my shot. Just doesn't work that way. Tim Tebow's been planning this for a year, which speaks to one of two things, that Tim Tebow either has the greatest friends and support group of all time, or the worst friends and support group of all time. Either your friends are encouraging you to do something, follow your dreams, man. Go out there and get it. I have friends that are in the music business. I have friends that are all over the sphere of things that you can do. I have friends doing law and all kinds of things. And we try and keep in contact with each other and encourage each other. That's having good friends. If you want to do something, if you've got a dream, great friends tell you to go accomplish that dream. Bad friends, though, let you go after stuff you have no business going after. Every terrible person you ever saw on American Idol, they have bad friends. Every single one. Bad singers on American Idols, they have bad friends because good friends would tell you if you couldn't sing. Good friends wouldn't tell you, hey, go follow your dream there, buddy, if they knew you were just going to embarrass yourself on national television while Simon Cowell is verbally eviscerating you. Like, they wouldn't allow you to do that if they were actually good friends. I don't know what this says of Tim Tebow's friends, that they enabled this to happen, that Tim Tebow sat here and pondered playing Major League Baseball for an entire season, an entire year, and planned a year-long planning session that culminates in an event where Tim Tebow has convinced the world that he is good enough swinging at a baseball to try and play in the majors. I don't know which friend group Tim Tebow has. I would want to argue the latter, the bad friends, except if Tim Tebow is as good as people say, if Tim Tebow is swinging the bat as well as people say, then who knows? He might end up having the good kind. Sometimes the only way to tell is whether or not you're successful, right? If you are a friend of somebody and they say, dude, hold my beer, only you know if they should do next what they plan on doing next. And if you allow it to happen and they fail, you're a bad friend. You're a bad friend. To that end, though, I think Tim Tebow is a gamer. I have a definition of a gamer. I don't mean a video game player. I mean a guy who could play anything well. I think that Tim Tebow is the kind of guy that could play anything well. And you're listening to Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. That's me. Tim Tebow's the kind of guy who could play anything well. We're talking about Tim Tebow trying to follow a different dream, giving up the football dream and going to play Major League Baseball. Tim Tebow could play anything well. And by that, I mean, Tim Tebow is a guy he's a physical freak. He's naturally physically gifted. Okay. He's very fast. For how fast he runs, you would not anticipate that he is as large as he is. He's big guy. What, 6'4", 6'5", 220, 230? And yet, Tim Tebow can run a 4.6, a 4.6 40. I mean, you wouldn't anticipate that if Tim Tebow played baseball, though. My question is, like, what would he do? What would he do? Is Tim Tebow? I mean, he's not going to be a 5-tool guy. Where do you put Tim Tebow? Is Tim Tebow hitting for power? I mean, you're looking at one of the, like, let's go back to Bo Jackson, right? Bo Jackson is possibly the most physically gifted athlete that any of us have ever seen. And in fairness, I only ever saw Bo Jackson play in that one ESPN 30 for 30 documentary and in YouTube clips. Fair enough. But still, Bo Jackson is one of the more physically gifted athletes that any of us have ever seen, if not the most physically gifted athlete that any of us have ever seen. And Bo Jackson didn't do everything perfectly playing baseball. Bo Jackson, if we remember correctly playing baseball, Bo Jackson is more remembered for the amazing stuff that he did just sort of casually that most people can't do. Bo Jackson climbing the wall like Spider-Man. Bo Jackson casually snapping a bat over his head like a twig, or just in out of any anger, snapping a bat over his leg like that wouldn't just hurt. Or Bo Jackson from the outfield, throwing guys out. I mean, from long distances with the howitzer that's attached to his arm. I mean, remember all of those things about Bo Jackson. But Bo Jackson had a fairly low batting average. Bo Jackson wasn't a great hitter in terms of consistency. And that's because Bo Jackson didn't play baseball his whole life. He was just naturally gifted. And if we're looking at Tim Tebow as a guy that can possibly play baseball and possibly play baseball pretty well, but he's going to start playing in his 30s, and he hasn't been playing for the last 10 years, then what are we saying when we say Tim Tebow can be a good baseball player? Like, what on earth is Tim Tebow supposed to actually do? Because we know he's not as physically gifted as Bo Jackson. Nobody is as physically gifted as Bo Jackson. So it just raises that question. Like, when you look at Tim Tebow out on a baseball field, like, what is he actually doing? And we haven't even looked as to whether or not Tim Tebow would be actually great at fielding any. Is Tim Tebow going to be a designated hitter? And could you have a designated hitter that you can't guarantee is going to hit the ball well? Is Tim Tebow hitting for power, or is he just trying to get on base and using his speed? I don't know. And that's the thing here. There's too many questions around Tim Tebow playing baseball. But I feel like if you're a baseball team, like, maybe it might just be worth a look. He's just too athletic and just too physically gifted to not to. Right? You're listening to Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. Now, I'm looking at the AFC South, and I was going back through the schedule from last year, and I had some hope for the Titans. I want to be able to talk about Marcus Mariota a little later on, because the Titans are doing some curious things with him, and I don't know how I feel about any of that. Like, I'm going through the Titans, their schedule from last year, and I realized that despite the fact that the Titans won a grand total of 3 games last year, they are a team that was still in the playoff hunt until about week 12. And that's because the AFC South is a bad conference of football. They're not the worst conference of football anymore. They used to be, but they're not the worst. I would take a look at the NFC East, because I don't know, that's a mess over there. Them over there, that's a mess. But the AFC South, not the worst division of football anymore. There's a lot of hope to be had there. Like, we look at the Texans making the playoffs, and we forget that the Texans were losing a bunch of games early in the season. A bunch of really close games, too. Like, a bunch of winnable games the Texans were losing because they had no quarterback, and now they have Brock Lobster, and we don't know if Brock Lobster is a good quarterback for them. But the Titans should be in a division of football that, honestly, realistically, they should be able to win. It sounds weird and it sounds crazy, but I think the Titans should be able to win the AFC South. It's possible, okay? Because Jaguars aren't consistently good. The Colts are bad. Save for Andrew Luck, they're bad. And not only is it a save for Andrew Luck, they're bad situation, Andrew Luck couldn't stay healthy last year, and when he did stay healthy last year, he wasn't very good. He started to put the team on his back way too much. He started to make decisions and plays all on his own, and it put the team behind the 8 ball. And I'm looking at this division of football again and going, the Titans have the easiest schedule in the division. They play a fairly easy schedule overall because of the other teams in the division. And you're looking at the Texans and going, the only thing that team's got going for them is J.J. Watt. And defensive linemen just don't have the same swing that quarterbacks do. Like, if you ask me to rank the quarterbacks in the AFC South, it's incredibly difficult to do. You'd have to put Luck at 1 just based on what he did his rookie season and then what he did his second year in the league, regardless of what last year looked like. Regardless of what last year looked like, you have to put Luck number 1. Then the question is Mariota or Bortles. Mariota, by any degree, successful rookie season. By any measure, was a fantastic rookie. Blake Bortles is a guy that's been trending upwards, and he looks very good as a football player. Okay, and as a quarterback, he's tough. He makes tough throws. He makes tough decisions. And then Brock Osweiler, I haven't seen enough from him. He's got a very small amount of starts. And in those starts, he's had some games where he's played great, and he's had some games where he stunk up the joint. And so we don't know. I'm putting Osweiler last still out of all the quarterbacks there, even though he might be a little bit older. I don't care. And I look at this and go, you've got the second best quarterback. You've got one of the better all-around teams. What's holding you back from winning the division? Your coach. Mike Mularkey is your coach, and we'll talk a little bit about that next and what the Titans are doing with Marcus Mariota. You're listening to Clutch with Keon Rose on Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
I'm blowing everything up. We're starting over. I'm doing a new show. I want guys who push it to the middle of the table and go over the top. Take a risk, fail miserably. I'm right, and I'm not wrong, and I'll never back down. Conflict works. Allow it.
It's The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Right here and everywhere. Noon Eastern.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds. We'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
Fox News Talk 1240. I'm Larry Daniels from Daniels Insurance, and on the average, our customers save $400 a year. We offer retirement vehicles and annuities in addition to other investment products that help you protect your family. Call 423-332-4774.
Order a 16-inch pizza at Toscano's Italian Grill and get a free 10-inch pizza. Toscano's, authentic Italian food, fresh-made ingredients and sauces. When you and your bambino sit down at Toscano Italian Grill, you're served by smiling people. They make you feel like part of the family. Toscano's is easy to find. It's in the recruiting center at 153 and Lee Highway. Toscano's, scrumptious pizzas made with fresh dough, come to you bubbling hot from an authentic brick oven. Mention Hot News Talk Radio, and you'll get a free 10-inch pizza when you order a 16-incher. Heaping portions, friendly, 10:30 to 10:30, 7 days a week. Toscano delivers. 805-3888. Like us on Facebook. Ask about Toscano's app. Nobody does it better. Mention Hot News Talk Radio, and you'll get a free 10-inch pizza with 2 toppings when you order a 16-incher. 805-3888. Nobody does it better.
Finding just the right place to live can be a daunting task. Stop your search. In Chattanooga, the place to live is Cross Creek Villas for under $1,000 and available for immediate move-in. You can enjoy this 2-bedroom split layout, over 1,000 square feet, 9-foot ceilings, an extra large patio or balcony. And don't forget to ask about their preferred employer program. Cross Creek Villas is a gated community offering a 24-hour fitness facility, a beautiful pool and hot tub, and Cross Creek Villas is pet friendly. Stroll the pet park with your best friend and enjoy the free use of their business center and clubhouse. Plus, if you mention you heard this on the radio, your application fee is free. Cross Creek Villas, close to downtown off of Highway 58. Go to crosscreekchattanooga.com. That's crosscreekchattanooga.com or call 894-0446. That's 894-0446. Redefine the way you live at Cross Creek Villas. Go to crosscreekchattanooga.com or call 894-0446. Cross Creek Villas.
Any isolated showers will diminish through the nighttime. Muggy overnight. Could see a little more late fog. Low 73 to 75. Now, for your midweek, not much change. Only isolated afternoon showers and storms. Otherwise, partly cloudy, hot, and humid each day with highs 90 to 92. As the leader in specialized temporary staffing for accounting and finance professionals, AccountTemps matches your staffing needs with skilled temporary specialists. Visit AccountTemps.com. That's AccountTemps, a Robert Half company. And I'm Storm Team 12's Chief Meteorologist, Patrick Orr.
On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds. We'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
Fox News Talk 1240.
Hot 1240 Hot News Talk Radio with your Hot News Now update. A father charged in connection with the shooting death of his daughter in Hendersonville. Police arrested Timothy Batts, who's 29, on charges of reckless homicide, tampering with evidence, false reporting, and felon in possession of a firearm when his daughter had just gotten home from school, her first day at 6th grade, when she was shot inside of her house. The circumstances are still rather mysterious. Police arrived on scene, found the body of the girl, and found the father as well. Apparently a handgun was found inside the home. and the owner of the handgun, apparently a felon. A man was killed and his wife critically injured after a crash on Amnicola Highway, police say. A DUI is suspected. A silver sedan driven by Mr. Cureton was exiting from Highway 153 towards Amnicola when it was hit by a blue Jeep. The driver was given a sobriety test and did not pass. He's been charged with DUI, vehicular homicide by impairment, and a red light violation as well. And the TBI is still looking for missing 2-year-old Skylar Lachey Wilson, last seen in a black Kia Soul, Tennessee tag V2631U. If it's going on the Tennessee Valley, it's going on Hot 1240 Hot News Talk Radio.
Hot News Talk 1240.
In the SEC, there are many teams, but only one team can win it all, and it's probably not your team. This is the 2016 edition of Why Your Team Stinks, and we're going in vague order of teams I don't think will win the SEC to teams I most likely think will win the SEC. It's not even necessarily, it's not a strict power rankings, right? It's not like the definite worst team to the definite best team. It's just, it's sort of tiered in that way. So Missouri fans that are mad at me that I said your team stinks, I will be saying that everybody's team stinks. Your team was just first because I think you're the worst. Sort of. Today, we'll be talking about the University of Kentucky. Kentucky, your team stinks. You're not going to be winning the SEC this year. I think you knew that already. I don't think you needed me to do that. I can't wait till we get to some of these teams where you actually have a chance at winning the SEC, and I get this to just look you in your face and go, nah. Somebody's got to win it, so I can't be right about all these, right? But it's not going to be Kentucky. And here's why it's not going to be Kentucky. Because Kentucky returns a lot of talent on offense. But that offense was supposed to take off last year, except that they didn't. Except that they scored over 27 points, a grand total of 3 times for the entire season. They had a quarterback change. Patrick Towles took his, I guess you would call them talents, to Boston College. And Drew Barker is now supposed to be the guy. The question is Drew Barker actually ready to be the guy? He might be up to the task, but we'll have to see if that actually takes off or if it's just a dud for the offense. Randall Cobb is not walking through that door. The defense last year, though, they weren't great. They weren't even remotely good. They only had 17 sacks, and they lose a ton of starters. They're not going to be returning very many players, which means they not just lack actual talent around there, but they also lack the experience. And quite frankly, they need a miracle for a pass rush. Lou Michaels is not walking through that door. Nobody is coming to save the Kentucky defense. The secondary is supposed to be the strength of this team, but it's not great. And without a pass rush, how good is the secondary really? John Calipari is not walking through that door. And for that matter, Raylan Givens isn't walking through that door either. It's just, it's not a great look for Kentucky. Why Kentucky sucks? So many things. But also, and I think probably more importantly, it's the schedule. Kentucky has got a brutal schedule. Week 2, Kentucky plays at Florida. Their signature game is going to be September 24th against South Carolina, a team that this is a winnable game for them, and it's a team that they've beaten twice in the last couple of seasons already, so they should win this again. It's going to be one of the games they have to win if they want a shot at being bowl eligible. They were 5-7 last year, and they just missed bowl eligibility. But right after playing South Carolina, they play Alabama, so that's a loss. They play Vanderbilt, who is better than them. They have a bye week, and then they play Mississippi State. They play Missouri, who, that's a winnable game there again. But then you play Georgia, Tennessee in that last mix of games before you play Austin Peay and Louisville. And Louisville, that's not a gimme, obviously. So you're looking at a schedule here that's pretty rough. It features Florida, Alabama, Georgia, and Tennessee. Good luck, Kentucky. I don't know what else to tell you about that one, except good luck. Your schedule is brutal. You don't have the talent on defense. You have talent on offense, but it's underperformed and underachieved. And the only way that you stand a chance of any improvement under your head coach is that offense has got to bloom. It's got to bloom. You're listening to Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. Make sure to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and via the TuneIn Radio app. Again, that's the TuneIn Radio app, free for your favorite mobile device. I have some things to say about Marcus Mariota because he's a quarterback that I enjoyed watching in college, and I enjoyed watching his rookie season with the Tennessee Titans. Now, I think Marcus Mariota, and I don't want to say this, but I think Marcus Mariota might be due to some regression with the Titans this year because the Titans want Marcus Mariota to play under center some more, and that is a mistake. Marcus Mariota in college played in the shotgun 99% of the time. This means that if Marcus Mariota found himself under center, it was to take a knee or it was a complete and total accident that he wound up there in the first place. I mean, he didn't play it in college. He's not comfortable playing under center. And here's the thing. Sure, you could say, stop babying these players coming from college. What do they know? They should fit into what the league is doing. The league is going to more shotgun too and away from going under center. The league-wide average of snaps taken from the shotgun is up to 62% from 41% in 2011. So in just 5 years, 21% more snaps taken from the shotgun. So majority of your snaps are now taken from the shotgun. The league is trending to what Marcus Mariota was already comfortable with. And that's because working in the shotgun is actually better for your offense. Teams average about 6 yards per shotgun snap as opposed to 5 yards per under center snap, which means you gain an entire yard more playing from the shotgun than playing under center. And in a game of inches, every extra yard you pick up matters. It ultimately adds up to whether or not you win and lose a football game. So even if Marcus Mariota weren't your quarterback, it wouldn't make any sense to have whatever guy you have go more under center when you saw Brady is working more out of the shotgun. Roethlisberger works more out of the shotgun. Rivers works more out of the shotgun. These guys are some of the best guys in the league. Breeze works more out of the shotgun. And you're taking your second-year quarterback, who is already more comfortable with the shotgun, and putting him back under center. Not only do teams average more per shotgun snap than under center snap, the Titans specifically averaged way more per shotgun snap than under center snap, completing 5.7 yards per shotgun snap as opposed to 4.4. So the split is even wider for the Titans specifically, which leads me to ask the question, what is Mike Mularkey watching in his film study that the rest of us aren't seeing on Sunday? Not only this, but statistically, and I'm not going to bore you to death with the numbers because numbers, it can get heavy. I've already spat too many numbers at you. I'm sure you don't even remember them by now. But Marcus Mariota statistically both passes and runs better out of the shotgun than from under center. Even if you take away his 87-yard touchdown that he scored, which, by the way, he scored from the shotgun. Even if you take that away, he still runs better out of the shotgun than under center. So why would you take that away from him? That inherent advantage that he has. If Marcus Mariota passing and running better is literally why you would draft a dual threat quarterback in the first place. You drafted the guy, and then you won't let him use his skill set. And sure, you could argue DeMarco Murray is one of the reasons why you would want to go more under center. Typically, DeMarco Murray has played with guys that play more under center than from the shotgun. But here, in lies the rub. DeMarco Murray plays better when he's lined up in the shotgun. And also, DeMarco Murray is a running back that's 28 years old. Marcus Mariota is a quarterback that's 22 years old. DeMarco Murray will be out of the league probably before Marcus Mariota hits his prime. DeMarco Murray will be finished before Mariota plays his best football. So it doesn't matter what DeMarco Murray likes best, even if it is with Mariota lining up under center, because Marcus Mariota will be your quarterback longer than DeMarco Murray will be your running back. Is that not why you drafted Derrick Henry? This is Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. I think the Titans are making a mistake having Marcus Mariota play more under center. They're making a mistake there from about every angle. Mariota himself has more comfort and plays better from the shotgun. The rest of the league is trending in the direction of the shotgun. You pick up more yards when you play from the shotgun. This is not making any sense, which leads me back to my point that I was making in January when the Titans hired Mike Mularkey. I asked, are we sure that Mike Mularkey is the guy? And now I'm convinced. Mike Mularkey is not the guy. Mike Mularkey is a terrible coach. He's a terrible coach because despite every statistical reason to have his quarterback play shotgun, he's pushing him under center. And it makes no sense. When you combine that with Mike Mularkey's other measurables as a head coach, like the fact that he's 18-39 as a head coach, that he hasn't had a winning season since he went 9-7 in his first season with the Bills. Since then, he's been 5-11, 2-14, and 2-7. Basically, he's been 5-27 in his last 32 games as an NFL head coach. And you could argue that he hasn't had a lot of great teams to work with, but that was a lazy hire by the Tennessee Titans. An absolutely lazy hire, and it's egregious because when you've got a young quarterback, you've got to capitalize on making that guy better, on developing him in the way of the quarterback in this league, which is trending towards the shotgun. I mean, we know this in the South. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. There's nothing to fix with Marcus Mariota. He played just fine last year. It's not like he played terribly from shotgun, and then you have to figure out how to change it up and how you're going to make it better. And why would that be to play from under center? It's more difficult to play from under center. That's the reason why everyone's playing from the shotgun. When you play from the shotgun, you're already standing up. You can see the defense. The defense can't shift or change anything when you go to get the snap. Nothing can be shifted that you don't see already. Defense can still bait you and trick you. It's just a little bit more difficult because there's no blind spot between you looking at the defense and you receiving the snap from under center. I mean, this is obvious. This does not take a football expert to figure out. But the Titans went for the ho-hum reasons that everybody would keep an interim head coach. Continuity. We liked Mike Mularkey's vision. That's a vague thing that just gets tossed out there. Yeah, we liked vision. What does it mean? What do you mean you liked his vision? You mean the same vision that had him go 2-7 as an interim head coach? That vision? How about the vision where he was 2-14 with the Jaguars? That vision? How about the vision where he's lost 39 games and won only 18 as a head coach? That vision? Why would you choose that vision? And why did they hire him in January? Like, if Mike Mularkey was going to be an option, was he really at the top of the list? There's so many coaches you could have gone down, so many really, really good coaches that were hired after Mike Mularkey. A ton of fantastic coaches. You hired him in January 16th. And I don't understand that because Mike Mularkey isn't a guy that's got leverage on you. If you chose to call up Mike Mularkey this week and say, hey, coach, we couldn't find anybody to coach the Titans. We need you. He would have said yes. he would have said yes. Mike Mularkey would have picked up the phone and said yes whenever it was that you called him back. So you did not have to rush to pick Mike Mularkey, 18-39 Mike Mularkey, to be your head coach. And this is not a hindsight is 2020 deal. I went back through every article that I could find on the hiring, and people didn't like it then. And go back, check us out on YouTube. Go back to January 16th on YouTube and listen to this show. Listen to it. I was skeptical then. And now you see why a man is able to be 18-39 as a football coach. Some guys don't get a fair shake. Some guys get fired way too fast. Some guys are interim head coaches and they show a lot of promise, but they still don't get the nod. In the case of Mike Mularkey, we've seen enough. We've seen all that we're going to see out of this guy, all the winning that he is capable of doing. He has already clearly done. And it's not a ton, and there's not much more coming around the corner. And so, what I was saying before the break about the Titans being in a division of football that they actually have a chance of winning. I know it sounds kind of unbelievable when your team is a 3-win football team that they have a chance of winning a division, except that they were still in the division, them and their 3 wins, right up until the last quarter of the season. They were still pretty much in it for some reason. And that's because the AFC South is awful. Okay, it only takes like 10 wins to lock it up in the AFC South, which is ridiculous. And the Titans were very much in the hunt coming up to the closing of the season. And I have to say, definitely thought that they were going to try and see if they were going to go with somebody who would be able to push them over the edge there. Instead, they stuck with Mike Mularkey, and he's going to hold them back. And a division that they were capable of winning. Not saying it was a lock, not saying they're the favorite, but they were capable of winning it. They're not capable of winning it anymore. You've got a dynamic young quarterback. You've got a couple of running backs that are really good. There's a lot of promise in Derrick Henry, and I think DeMarco Murray just wasn't the right fit for the Eagles. I think he's a better fit for this offense. Okay, your offensive line is looking better. Your defense, really good. But you putting your quarterback under center when he's not comfortable playing under center, this is not going to work. This is not going to work. In fact, the team had a scrimmage the other day, and Marcus Mariota looked horrible. He turned the ball over and over and over again, and he called his own performance unacceptable. And sure, when you throw a ton of interceptions, your performance is unacceptable. But when your coach puts you in a position to fail and not a position to succeed, I can't throw the blame at your feet. I can't throw the blame at your feet. That's on Mike Mularkey. His coaching is unacceptable. And we might see some more unacceptable Marcus Mariota performances before this is all said and done, because he's not being put in a position to succeed. I mean, have you ever been at work? Have you ever been at a job where your bosses ask you to do something that you're not comfortable doing? Because I have. You get asked to do something that you're not comfortable doing, and something that probably isn't even great for the company that you work at. And here's the thing. You're being put in a position to fail. You're not being empowered to succeed. How can you? Where can you go from there? It's one of those things where just sometimes you need a management change, and you can't ask for it. It's just got to happen. Now, in the world of football, things work out nicely as to if Mike Mularkey turns around and just has a horrible, dreadful season this season. A, you get a high draft pick, which is kind of nice. B, Mularkey's gone. The turnover of management changes is very, very high in football, where the rest of us in the real world, if you end up with a boss or management that's not particularly great, you're just kind of stuck. You're just kind of stuck right there. You're not moving anywhere. And I don't know what to tell you about that. You're listening to Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose, that's me. Thank you for joining me today, making me just a small part of your day. You know that I appreciate you. I don't understand what's happening there, man. I hesitate to, I mean, like, it's weird because, like, you don't want to criticize coaches. At least I don't like criticizing coaches, which sounds surprising given the job that I do, which is pretty much to talk about sports is to find a bunch of things to criticize, really. But with that said, there are some times that you just have to be critical of the decisions that people make. And I'm very critical about the decision that Mike Mularkey is making here because it doesn't, I mean, every statistical reason to play from the shotgun is basically being ignored here in favor of I don't even know what. Every reason. I mean, I don't know how many more reasons there are left. There just aren't. You're listening to Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. And one of the interesting things about the Olympics to me, besides the fact that we have a dumpster fire of an Olympics and that everything leading up to the Olympics has gone horrifyingly wrong, but at least we've gotten some great events out of it, is the water polo. Because I'm surprised that NBC is still doing the underwater water polo cam. And if they are doing it, why is it that they can't get the shots correct on that? Since we all know they delay the Olympics. It's tape delayed. And we're not watching all these events live. The tape delay in the Olympics. So if that's the case, how is it that we are still doing underwater shots in water polo when people are underneath there? They're being brutal, especially the women. The women are more brutal underwater. They're pinching each other. They're punching each other. And you know what? There's some not safe for work images coming out of water polo because people are grabbing on each other's uniforms and clothes and punching and scratching and kicking. And I have to say, if you know that your audience, a fair portion of your audience is possible, that that children are watching the Olympics, how are you still doing underwater water polo camera shots? Does anybody know better? There, I mean, that's just negligence at that point. Because it's not like it's a surprise. It's not like you're doing this for the this is not their first rodeo with the Olympics, obviously. How long have they had the Olympics? I mean, for as long as I can remember. And then B, you're tape delaying it. You can't edit this stuff out. You're just seeing private areas on TV because they cannot get this straight with the camera shots. I mean, just choose not to do the underwater shots. Like, everything you need to know about water polo as a spectator of water polo is happening above the water. The dirty little secret of water polo is happening underneath the water. I don't want to know how the sausage gets made. I have no interest in learning. That video where literally they showed Snoop Dogg how hot dogs are made, and then by the time he got to the end of the video and realized it was hot dogs that they were making and he was just freaking out, that's the underwater shots of water polo. I don't want to know that. You know what I mean? I don't want to see a hoo-ha just because NBC thought it was great, just thought it was a fantastic idea to just show me an underwater shot there. Put it away, NBC. Shame on you. You've been listening to Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. Tomorrow, we'll have a special guest. Remember, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Stay clutch. I'll see you in 24 hours. The Sons of Liberty. Up next.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
With every election, the government always gets in. You're right to be angry. We have no free market, red tape everywhere, taxes crushing. There's no level playing field. Tomorrow may be a day of reckoning. But